Okay, this is the second in and probably the last in the LeadsMet skeleton rigging tutorials. So what I want to do is I want to create a way to automatically control the opening and closing of this jaw. I'm going to be doing that by a similar way that we control the rotation of the Gatling gun in the previous the object rigging tutorial. But it's going to work in a slightly different way because we want it a fixed value. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to drop a point there. Let's just zero it out on the x-axis, and then I'm going to slide it on up. If I could actually use the tools. There we go. Slide it up there. Okay, I might go into the modifiers and actually change that from a point to, let's make it a box. Yeah, look at that, you can create a cross in a box. Fine, that will do. Right, what we're going to do now is we're going to do as we did before. We're going to add a custom attribute to it, and to do that we need to have an attribute holder. I'm going to go into animation parameters editor. I'm going to create a new float called jaw open. Okay, I want it from 0 to 10, and that's it. Let's add that in. Right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at how we're going to connect this with some rotation in the jaw. We're going to use a different system though. We're going to use something. Is it the reaction manager? Yes, it is. Right. What we're going to do is we're going to load a master. The master is this null object. Add it in. So then you want to, so you've clicked on this star, you go in and you look for the attribute that you want to use, and I want to use this jaw open. Okay, I then want to add a slave. The slave object will be controlled by the master, and I want that lower jaw, and I want a transform rotation. Just transform rotation it seems to be. You don't need to go into a lower level. Okay, so we've created this relationship here now. I've said that when the jaw open equals 0, the rotation of the jaw wants to be as it currently is. Okay, let's just change some things now. Let's take this jaw open, take it all the way to 10. Let's take that jaw and let's open it as wide as we're ever going to want it. Which it's not letting me do. Let's just go into the motion tab. Alright, well let's try it a different way if I can't control it directly. Let's bring this up and put create mode. I didn't want that, I wanted to do this, create state. Okay, so I said now that when state 2, which is when point 2 jaw open equals 10, this lower jaw rotation wants to equal something else. So I'm going to edit mode. Okay, so I'll just take that value there and I'm going to increase it. Okay, so just looking at this, you can see it's I'm controlling the Y rotation, which is not what I want to do. Control Z, and this is the X rotation. Yes, that is the one I want. So I have to push that up, keep going up, and put Z in there. Let's see, can I just... There we go. Right. That's probably as open as I want to take that. So I imagine if I just have a little look, I'm going to say, make that 20. Yeah. Make that value 10. So instead of keyframes now, what I'm working is a graph editor. So that keyframe is now at value of 10, and the amount of opening I want that to be 35. Okay, there we go. So that is now keyed up. So I can now go in, select this object, go into its modifiers, and I've got this attribute now that I can control remotely how open and close that jaw is. That jaw is. So this means I no longer have to worry that I'm opening it too much. I can just animate this single custom attribute, and it will work perfectly. You can do similar things on the fingers. So if you imagine, as you work with a finger, you can say apply a load of things. So it says finger curl, and then key all those finger curling up and rotating. So when you swipe through a value within this object, you can change how curled up those fingers are. That was it's a powerful tool in other software. So if you're using Maya, what you might want to look at is using something called set-driven keys. It's exactly the same. It basically creates a little relationship. So it's saying when jaw open equals 0, rotation equals 0 on x-axis. And then when jaw open equals 10, the rotation on x-axis equals 35. So yeah, it's simple, but it's very, very powerful when you get into it and when you're starting to look at how things are working. Okay, so just to review, when you're animating a skeleton like this, you want to when you're rigging a skeleton like this, you don't want things to flex if you can help it. So you want to rig up by parenting bone objects to the skeleton objects, or the other way around, if you know what I mean. The only exception to that we're going to look at is the spine. Let's see if we can skin that now. Now it has been a while since I've done skinning, so let's see if I can get this right first time. Don't know what I was trying to do there, but I don't think it worked, which is good. Okay, so I'm going to click on that spine. I'm going to click on skin. And I'm going to select these 4 bones. Okay, so it doesn't work that way. Works this way, does it? Right. And I can turn off a fair few of these things. And turn off display geometry, and that gives me biped, toe, calf, spine. So I want to select those 4 objects, click select, and that's looking pretty good. Edit envelopes. No, let's have a look and see how it's working. Or if it's working, it might not be. No, it's working. Excellent. So now we've got that that spine will bend and flex. It's not entirely accurate, but it means that I don't have to go in and rig those bones individually. I've got the this arm that is rigged to slide round, so I've got the clavicle and the scapula working together. That's looking pretty nice. You won't have to just watch how far you push objects with that scapula. And I've got this automated jaw system. So this is that's a good start in terms of your animation and rigging. If I just bring this back, unhide all. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I hope you are too, and I hope it gives you a better idea of what you want to be doing in terms of rigging, and I hope it gives you a good idea of how that works within terms of automation, how you might get things sliding. Sorry, I do seem to be babbling on here. Just things to note, things that are going to be difficult areas. The most difficult area I would say is probably going to be this forearm area. You can just parent both of the bones to this forearm bone. That might not get the result you're wanting, because it won't get a physically accurate result. Let me just demonstrate here. If I were to just parent these both to there, what you would find is that the bones act in a way which is basically slightly wrong. You'll get bones shearing through there. There's no very good rotation on the bone, so when I'm rotating the wrist, it's not rotating there. So yeah, there's a few things you might want to look at. As a little tip, the look at constraint might be a way to do that. Certainly for this outer bone, the ulna, that is how I would do it. I would parent it to maybe just the forearm, and then I would have a look at constraint, and I would have a null object that is parented to this item in here, which is the twisty bone. So you'd have to figure out how to add a twisty bone in biped, and you can see that turning with the hand. So yeah, you might want to just parent it straight to the hand itself. And then the other bone out here, the radius, that moves slightly differently. So you're going to have to do some research into how bones work, how they move, and figure out a good solution for that. Okay, so that's pretty much the end of the tutorial. Sorry if I've waffled on there. It's a bit late for me. So yeah, you've got a good start there. So if you want to continue on, you can either start your own version, or you can carry on rigging this version that I'm going to save out for you. I'll call it, let's do it now so you know where it is. Save as. I'm going to call it Skeleton Biped Rigged. It's not fully rigged, but it's rigged enough for you to be getting on with. Alright, thank you very much, and good night.